The basic underlying need of every human being is to be happy. And to be happy, you must be free inside yourself, which means you must be relaxed within. And in order to be free, you must examine the clutter that you have accumulated and has made you become like a hoarder. We're so concerned about hoarders who have hoarded things when we need to bring a lot of attention on so many hoarders out there who have accumulated so much stuff up there that is not serving them well. See, that clutter that has been accumulated in the mind has created what is called a conditioned mind, filled with many old beliefs and often many false ones based on some organized system or way of thinking that is not entirely your own, but is made up of a collective thought that often creates misery in your life's experience. You see, a conditioned mind is an imprisoned mind. And why? Because such a mind is never new, never afresh, never alive, never vibrant. There's no spaciousness for joy. There is no openness for discovery. See, no human being can ever live up to everybody's beliefs of what is right, what is wrong. You just have to look at the systems that exist in the world based on tradition, cultures, religions, even spirituality today, moral values, prejudices, habits, etc. And if you look within each of these, there is conflict. Just within each of these, there is conflict. So how can anybody ever live up to all of these beliefs? They're just beliefs that often create havoc in your life. Why? Because they're actually false constructs of the mind. And I say they're false constructs of the mind because there's no reality to them until you try to bring them in to your life and allow them to create clutter in your mind as you try to embrace it now in your life and make it your own. And in making it your own, you're trying to make it your reality. And often you fail to do so because you just simply cannot live up to all of these various beliefs, which are so often in conflict with each other. And therefore, there is no wonder there is no peace in this world, because a cluttered mind that is so conditioned and imprisoned can have no space for peace at all. See, when you draw on the clutter of your mind to make choices and decisions in your life based on things such as family traditions and cultures, religion, societal expectations, etc., what can often happen is that you're going to slip up somewhere along the line, and often these can result in negative outcomes in your life's experience that make you become very miserable. Why? Because the choices you're making end up being poor because you have bought into other beliefs that end up being in conflict with something that doesn't feel right for you in your life. So it doesn't feel right inside of you, it doesn't resonate with you, so it ends up working against you and therefore not serving you well. So I'm looking at conditioning from this point of view today. I'm not saying that all conditioning is bad conditioning. there's some form of conditioning that's pretty okay, such as having respect for others, having self-respect, being manly. These are good forms of conditioning. So we're looking at the ways you've been conditioned that are going against the core of your open mind. Now, look at how many people, how they've defined what failure is versus success is for you in your life. And in today's world where we have media as well as the internet, there are lots of gurus out there that you have access to, lots of people who are defining these things for you. And if you buy into everything you hear or listen to, your life is going to be an absolute wreck, because there's no way you can live up to it. Look at how failure versus success is being defined for you, what your career path should be, what is supposed to be meaningful and purposeful for you in life, who is the right partner to have in life. All of these conditioning can create a lot of havoc in life. And, we just have to look, and I can draw on some very simple examples. If you look at within families where there are things like heirlooms and traditions that are being passed on. There might be an heirloom, and in the case of a death, you find that somebody ends up with a piece of heirloom that they shouldn't have ended up with, or somebody outside of the family got it, or something of such nature. And it creates a lot of bickering and tension within families because of this piece of heirloom. Something that has been constructed by the mind to believe that this is something that should be passed on. And so what happens? It creates misery in life for the family. And when this type of conflict occurs, you find that love goes out the door. So all the time there was love, but when this conflict arose with regard to the heirloom, because the right person didn't get it, or it didn't get to stay within the family, love goes right out the door. So this really isn't love, is it? And so this is a construct of the human mind that is creating a lot of unnecessary misery in individuals. And instead of they seeing these heirlooms that have been lost as a form of freedom within themselves, freedom from holding on to stuff, not just physically, but mentally. And what happens when they can't see it this way is that they miss out on the wonder of creating and obtaining their own. So they live in the prison of holding on to misery. And what a poor excuse to live life like that, as they blame each other for this lost heirloom. And that's just a simple example. You see, your evolution and growth, the evolution of human consciousness, cannot take place when you continue to live with such an imprisoned mind, conditioned by so many different beliefs. In order to evolve consciously, you need to find your own truth. You must be relaxed within yourself to discover. You can look at even within families where parents come up with these constructs with their children, or measuring one against the other. That creates misery. One might do well in life as they deem it as doing well, and the other one may be seen as a failure because the parents are unable to allow there to be openness in their mind and their ways of thinking, to even listen and explore a different reality for the other child, and not to allow that child to feel as though there is failure in that child's life. So all these different constructs of the mind need to be broken down in order for evolution of consciousness. And how do you start to decondition or start a deconditioning process? Well, the first thing you have to do is at least become aware of the conditioning that exists. And when you become aware, you're becoming aware not to judge and condemn, or to fix, or even to fix, but at least to become aware. And when you can become aware of the conditioning, you would start to see how you are conditioning. And you will really see completely and fully when you're not there to judge. When you start to see completely and fully that you're conditioned, you'll see how you are conditioned. When you see how you're conditioned, you'd be able to see how it is serving you, whether it's serving you well in life or not. Because when you're conditioned, remember, you're going to take this conditioned way of thinking and try to impose it upon others. That can also create misery, not only in your life, but in others' lives as you try to impose this type of conditioning onto other people's lives. A mind that is not free cannot be relaxed within. And when you're not relaxed within, there's no evolution that's taking place within you. And therefore, such a mind can never allow happiness to occur within an individual. So it's up to you to look at it and to start the deconstruction of such an imprisoned mind, to allow spaciousness for joy, for peace, for openness, for love, for freedom.